चिंकी दिवाली के पटाखे फोड़ रहे हैं और मम्मी किताब पढ़ रही है। चलता हूँ ये रॉकेट खिड़की से उड़ा कर सीधा मम्मी के पास फोड़ूंगा। उसके बाद मम्मी चिंटू और चिंकी को खूब मारेगी और दिवाली भी नहीं मनाने देगी। बहुत मजा आएगा। केवल मैं पटाखे फोड़ूंगा और चिंटू और चिंकी देखेंगे। चलता हूँ अब रॉकेट उड़ाने। चिंकी देखो, मैं इस पटाखे को अपने हाथ में फोड़ूंगा। चलो इसमें आग लगाओ। कहीं तुम्हारा हाथ जल गया तो आज तुम दिवाली भी नहीं मना पाओगे। अरे नहीं जलेगा, तुम आग लगाओ। तो ये लो, तुम थोड़ी दूर हट जाओ, नहीं तो तुम्हारा मुंह जल जाएगा और तुम काली बंदरिया दिखने लग जाओगी। देखा चिंकी, मुझे कुछ नहीं हुआ, मैं बहुत बहादुर हूँ। लेकिन तुम्हारा मुंह तो काला हो गया, अब तुम काला बंदर लग रहे हो। क्या मेरा मुंह काला हो गया? काला बंदर। हाँ, यहाँ से मम्मी साफ साफ दिख रही है। अब रॉकेट में आग तो लगाऊं? अरे ये रॉकेट नकली तो नहीं है, कब से आग लगा रहा हूँ लेकिन ये जल ही नहीं रहा। जल गया, जल गया, जल गया। चल अब उड़ भी जा हरामी रॉकेट। बचाओ! अरे चिंटू देखो, मम्मी के पास क्या फट गया। मम्मी गिर गई है। लेकिन हमने तो मम्मी के पास एक भी पटाखा नहीं फोड़ा, तो मम्मी उड़ी कैसे? अरे माई रे, बहुत चोट लगी है। हरामजादो, तुम दोनों को बोली थी कि वहाँ दूर ही पटाखा फोड़ना, लेकिन तुम दोनों ने मेरे पास ही फोड़ दिया। नहीं नहीं मम्मी, हमने कोई भी पटाखा आपके पास नहीं फोड़ा। चिंकिया से पूछ लो। हाँ हाँ मम्मी, चिंटू सही कह रहा है, हम तो यहाँ पर पटाखा फोड़ रहे हैं। नहीं नहीं मम्मी, चिंटू और चिंकी नहीं तुम्हें रॉकेट से उड़ाया है, मैंने खिड़की से देखा था। अबे तू कितना झूठ बोल रहा है बाबू। मम्मी इसकी बातों पर यकीन मत करना, वो अभी बच्चा है तो वो झूठ नहीं बोलेगा। तुम दोनों नहीं फोड़ा था वो पटाखा। क्या आप हमें मारेंगी? बाबू घर का दरवाजा बंद कर दे और देखना ये दोनों कहीं भाग न पाए। मैं डंडा लेकर आती हूँ। ठीक है मम्मी, मैं इन्हें भागने नहीं दूंगा। उस डंडे में थोड़ा तेल लगाकर लाना मम्मी। क्या? आज की रात मजा चिंटू और चिंकी की पिटाई से लूंगा। ला 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 ला। चलो तुम दोनों अपना हाथ आगे करो। मम्मी थोड़ा कस के मारना। नहीं नहीं मम्मी, हमें छोड़ दो, हमने पटाखा नहीं फोड़ा। आज दिवाली का दिन है, फिर भी आप हमें मारेंगी? तुम दोनों बहुत बदमाश हो गए हो, मारूंगी तभी सुधरोगे। चलो हाथ आगे करो। ये लो, थोड़ा धीरे से मारना मम्मी। अरे रुको रुको चिंटू के मम्मी, तुम ये क्या कर रही हो? मैं इन दोनों को पीट रही हूँ। इन दोनों ने मेरे पास इतना बड़ा दिवाली बम फोड़ दिया था और मैं उछलकर नीचे गिर गई, लेकिन वो पटाखा इन्होंने नहीं फोड़ा। तो कौन फोड़ा? जब मैं घर आ रहा था तो मैंने देखा तो ये बाबू उस खिड़की के पास से तुम्हारी तरफ एक रॉकेट उड़ा रहा था। क्या? नहीं नहीं मम्मी, पापा झूठ बोल रहा है, मैंने नहीं फोड़ा। मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूँ? चिंटू के मम्मी, तुम भी इसके पीठ पर एक दिवाली बम फोड़ो, तब ये बदमाशी करना छोड़ेगा। बाबू तू कितना कमीना है रे, तू हम दोनों को आज दिवाली के दिन ही पिटवाना चाहता था। वो देखो कौवा। अब तू भाग नहीं सकता बाबू। चलो मम्मी, अब इस पटाखे में आग लगाओ। नहीं नहीं मुझे छोड़ दो मम्मी। तो ये लो। अरे दादा, क्या कर रही हो मम्मी? मैं तुम्हारा छोटा सा प्यारा सा नन्हा सा दुलारा सा बाबू हूँ और तुम मुझे ही पटाखे से उड़ाना चाहती हो। तभी तो तू बदमाशी करना छोड़ेगा, बहुत बदमाश हो गया है तू। कहीं मैं पटाखे से मर गया तो तुम्हें पाप लगेगा। हाँ तुम ठीक कह रहे हो। अरे मम्मी, ये चालाक बाबू तुम्हें बहका रहा है और तुम इसकी बातों में आ रही हो। तुम ठीक कह रहे हो चिंटू, ये मुझे बहका रहा है। तो जल्दी आग लगाओ। ये लो। कमीना चिंटुआ, अगर मैं बच गया तो तेरे पेट में 2 किलो का दिवाली बम फोड़ूंगा। पटाखा जलने लगा मम्मी, चलो सब दूर भाग जाओ। अरे गिर गया। अब ये ले चिंटुआ। Oh no! अब तू फटने तो चला। मम्मी बचाओ।
Turn away, walk back into anonymity, leave her past and this tangled present behind. Or she could step forward into the unknown, into the very life she had been seeking, and risk losing control, risk being vulnerable, risk everything. Her hand tightened around the suitcase handle. Its leather, once a comfort, now felt like a contract, a tether binding her to choices she could no longer undo. The echo of her whispered phrase resounded louder, louder still, reverberating in the hollow spaces of her chest. Silence, she realized, could be shared, carried, and finally understood. The door ahead waited. Its frame glinted in the morning sun, and through the glass, she glimpsed the interior, an office lined with polished wood, faces she did not know, futures she could only imagine. She inhaled, a slow, steadying breath, feeling the suitcase's weight as both anchor and key. And then she stepped forward. The door swung closed behind her, muffling the station's hum, and with it, a chapter of waiting ended. The office hummed with quiet murmurs, the polished wood gleaming under the afternoon sun. She stepped in, suitcase in hand, feeling the weight of every step, every choice that had led her here. The stranger, no longer just a stranger, stood behind the desk, not as an observer, but as a participant in the story that had been quietly unraveling since the train station. His gaze found hers, steady and unflinching, and she noticed the subtle lines in his face that weren't just from age, but from memory, from loss. The same photograph she had glimpsed before, tucked now carefully in a drawer, seemed to whisper her name. He did not smile. He did not apologize. He simply extended a hand toward the suitcase. It belonged to her, he said quietly, voice almost breaking, my daughter. I kept it because I didn't know how to let go. She stared, the suitcase suddenly lighter in her grip, yet heavier in meaning. All the years she had carried it, all the lessons it had silently taught her, converged in this moment. Without a word, she opened it, smoothing the cracked leather, then lifted it from her own hands and placed it gently on his desk. A silent gift, a shared understanding. She had learned revenge, patience, survival, but now she understood release. The rain from the station was a memory, but the same tension remained. The wind brushing hair, the trembling of hands, but now reversed. She had stepped forward, and now he reached toward the past she had unknowingly mirrored. She began but stopped. Words were inadequate. He did not wait for them. Instead, he offered her a contract, not of employment, not of comfort, but of acknowledgement, a role in a company she had dreamed of, shaped by her own skill and observation. But the twist came quietly, almost cruelly poetic. He chose her, not for love, not for companionship, but because she reminded him of someone he had lost. She realized then that her victory was not in possession, but in recognition, in understanding that power and survival had a price she was willing to pay. She smiled faintly, a single curve of lips, not triumph, but acceptance. She set the suitcase down, its arc complete, a relic of memory now resting where it belonged. Outside, the station she had once observed as a silent girl waited. The trains rushed by, crowds surged, and she knew she could return, but the world had shifted. She had changed the course of her own story, but hers was not a story of taking. It was a story of giving, of releasing, of understanding the weight of memory carried in small, simple objects. And as she turned from the desk, leaving the office, in him, behind, a quiet truth settled over her. Not every stranger you help is meant to stay, but some leave you changed forever. The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of rain from days past. She walked slowly down the empty street, The suitcase no longer in her hands, no longer a burden. Its cracked leather rested quietly in a drawer at the office, under a shaft of sunlight that made its worn edges glow faintly. A relic of memory, of lessons learned, of battles fought in silence. Her steps were measured, confident now, each one echoing softly against the cobblestones. She moved like someone who had been invisible and had chosen, finally, to step into her own space. Not for recognition, not for reward, but for herself. The world around her continued, oblivious to the small revolution she had carried within, but she did not mind. A child ran past, laughter spilling into the street. She watched, momentarily remembering herself, smaller, quieter, clutching a suitcase like it held the entire universe. The memory tugged at her, not with pain, but with a gentle acknowledgement of survival. Sometimes strength was quiet, hidden in corners, carried in small, stubborn ways. She paused at a cafe window, catching a reflection she barely recognized. Hair damp from lingering mist, eyes clear and steady, shoulders relaxed yet poised. A smile tugged at her lips, private and fleeting. A soft line, once whispered in the station and now echoing in her chest, returned. Sometimes love is not romance, it's recognition. She repeated it to herself, tasting the truth of it, letting it settle deep. The streets hummed with ordinary life. A delivery man balancing packages, a woman folding laundry in a balcony, a stray dog weaving between shoes. She walked past them all, unnoticed and yet profoundly present. The solitude was no longer loneliness. It was clarity, a quiet reflection of all she had survived and learned. She stopped at the corner where the first station had opened its gates to her. The trains roared in memory, the wind tugged at her hair, and the hum of life pulsed around her. And for a moment, she let herself linger, thinking of him, of the suitcase, of the choices that had brought her here. She did not need to understand it all. She only needed to feel it. Then she turned, moving forward, her steps light but determined. Somewhere between memory and future, she carried a truth no one could take. The power of observation, of patience, of silent endurance. And in the quiet of the morning, she let the city and herself hold the rest. Not every path is meant to be followed to its end. Some exist only to teach the steps along the way.